Welcome to the New Indian Woman, and I'm your host Krishna. In this podcast, we will examine the challenges faced by us in managing our lives and our families. In each episode, we will also look at the techniques that worked for different women, examine how to adapt it for us in today's context, and learn from each other. You will get actionable strategies set in the Indian context on a wide variety of topics, right from identifying your passion to better productivity and parenting. In this episode, I want to talk to you about the one thing that comes up as a sore point again and again when we talk about being efficient, productive, etc. And that is the mess we get into for forgetting something. This happens to all of us, regardless of how good we are. And what exactly do we feel when we forget something important? We feel so bad about ourselves, about the situation we have got ourselves in. And if it is something that could have been done by someone else in the family, we feel extremely angry. Does this sound familiar? Here, I would like to share something from a small sample survey I did recently. 78% of my respondents believed they are managing their stuff efficiently. But to the question, how often they forgot things and faced the consequences, the answer was this. 64% end up searching for things. This highlights one point. Even when we believe we are good in managing our roles well, we do end up forgetting things. And that causes stress and affects the roles we perform. As a new Indian woman, let us strive to focus on a calm and fulfilling life where our dreams and aspirations lead us and we do not get pulled down by the routine stuff. The question then is, should we bother about this forgetting part? To me, it is very clear. This is a low-hanging fruit. In fact, there are so many simple steps that we can take to reduce the number of times we end up forgetting. No, this is not some memory technique. You may still continue to struggle to remember the name of that person who looks so familiar. Yes, that often happens to me. The technique I am referring to has got nothing to do with memory. In fact, very far from it. The number one reason for us to forget is because we rely on memory. Even if you have amazing memory, wouldn't you rather use it for much better purposes? Why would you want to remember to pay school fees by so-and-so date and to collect clothes from the dry cleaner or tailor by this weekend? I would love to free my brain from mundane stuff, and more importantly, I don't want to rack my brain all the time thinking about whether I should be doing this or that today or tomorrow. In our day-to-day living, what we tend to forget falls under one of the two categories: where things are and what needs to be done. Let us talk about where things are. Do you remember searching for where the drinking water is at your home or office? We don't have to search for this because it is obvious where this is kept. But now, let us talk about the house key. Well, there may have been some instances when you had to hunt for it, though it has a place in the house. You may have rushed into the house after a very long day and ran towards the toilet, forgetting to keep the house key in its usual place. And you may realize it only the next time you are stepping out, and then you start searching for it. Now let us talk about the spare house key, or maybe a bank locker key, or the spare key of your vehicle, or the stack of passport-size photos. You are most likely to have kept this in a very safe place, but just that you don't seem to recollect where that safe place is. You search in the usual safe places, your office bag, inside your cupboard, etc. In both of these cases, be it the house key which has a usual place or the other things that you have kept very safe, you end up searching for them. Again, sounds familiar? Let us not even start talking about the things piled up in the loft or that blue sweater you suddenly feel like wearing when there is a sudden change in weather in the middle of summer. So what is the most obvious answer that you would find in every organizing related article from different parts of the world? Yes, have a home for everything and everything in its home. Let me repeat. have a home for everything and everything in its home. Easily said than done, I say. I am okay with the first part. Identify a home for everything. But who will remember where the home is? With so many things around the house, remembering the home of each item is not a small thing. So here is what I do. First and foremost, I have earmarked permanent homes for many categories of things. Mind you, not for each thing, but a category of things. So all stationery material like empty envelopes, stamps, we still end up using them though very rarely, passport size photos, all in one shoebox. And this shoebox is kept next to a stack of diaries, notebooks and notepads that have pages in them. There is one more shoebox that contains stapler pin, punching machine, glue stick, sellotape, etc. kept next to this. So this section of shelf is essentially my stationery stash. Anything to do with stationery I have to find or look for only in this space. Similarly, there is an old purse in my main drawer where I keep cash, and this contains all the spare keys. Vehicle keys, house keys, cupboard keys, you name it. I have one small file folder where I dump all bills except grocery bills. This is in case I need to return the newly bought item because of any damage. I keep minimal jewelry at home, but just next to that is a small box in which I keep the bank locker key and a small chit with the bank locker number. It is very easy for me to grab this when I have to take something from the locker. Then there is the pending file. All kinds of paperwork is deposited there waiting for me to process. Any checks, forms or wedding invites that may come via postal mail. All of these are put into the pending file. Like this, I have an area each for clothes to be ironed, clothes to be dry cleaned, area for vessels that are not used regularly, and a box with a lid in the kitchen for all the extra provisions. For a complete list of category of things that we typically do not have a permanent home, please use the free download I have for you. Refer to the show notes of this podcast episode to download my Stuff at Home sheet. Take a printout of this free download, modify it to include additional categories that may be relevant for you, and then note down the permanent homes against each category. Do remember to paste this paper in your pending file. More about the pending file later. Stay tuned. The key point is permanent home for each category of item and not each item in the house. What I like most is how I remember what is kept in the big lofts in our bedroom. The thing is, I remember nothing. But believe me, if you want something from there, I can retrieve it in exactly 2 minutes. I keep all kinds of things in the loft. I am sure you do too. I keep all of our winter clothes, woolen blankets, and all the extra bags in the loft. All of these are stacked inside the suitcases and trolley bags that we usually use for travel. Most importantly, I have a list hung on the door under the loft. This list has the details of which items are in which suitcase, right from the black color woolen gloves to my favorite red sweater to the beanies. This list comes in handy when we are looking for a specific thing. You could take more printouts of the My Stuff at Home sheet and keep these next to your loft or storage cupboard, listing what is kept in that particular area so that it is easy to use it. Now that we discussed about the permanent homes for categories of things, let us move on to the next most important step. It is that you should not be the only person who knows where these permanent homes are. Your family members, including your young children, should know that too. I can hear you whispering already. Yeah, as if this is going to happen. I'm telling you, they will remember these permanent homes more than you. In fact, many years back, I got my children to convert a few shoe boxes to first aid kit, stationery box, etc. and they know exactly where these are kept. And the next time you need a copy of your passport size photo, don't forget to ask them to get it for you. Same for winter clothes and what not. Before long, they will be as comfortable as you are with respect to the permanent homes created for many categories of things in your house. So, how do you start going about this? The free download I talked about earlier is a good place to start. Another way is to start trying to recollect your recent forgot and had to hunt for incidents. Either you forgot or someone in your family took your help to search for things. That means either there is no permanent home or someone didn't keep an item in its permanent home or permanent home is forgotten. Everyone has the intention to keep things back in its place. In its permanent home. But then life happens. Many a times we mess up because we do not use the right tools. Let me give you a few examples. Using magazines to keep checks or bills while going to the bank or some utility office like electricity office, insurance office, etc. The intent is to also to read while waiting in the queue. But invariably, the receipt is kept in the magazine and after returning home, it is completely forgotten. An easier way to avoid this is to always carry a small file folder along with the magazine while going to such places. After coming back, even if you are in a hurry, the file folder can be put in the pending file for processing later. The fee intimation or exam timetable sent as a printed copy with your child by her school. Yeah, I know not all schools have moved to WhatsApp and email yet. It is opened and read out while sitting at the living room sofa or dining table. But then, when the adult gets up to attend a phone call, this sheet is forgotten and is mixed with the day's newspaper and magazines, and then it disappears into a black hole. Result, the parent has to get this copied from another parent or figure it out the hard way, meaning missed deadlines or basically additional work. The parent is likely to blame the child as irresponsible. But then who is actually responsible here? Again, the parent could have given the paper to the child and asked her to keep it in the pending file. Let us take the case of the bills from dry cleaner or tailor that's kept back in the shopping bag with the intention to remove and keep it safe later. But then later never comes and a mystery around the missing bill occurs. I know of my friend who forgot to collect saris from the dry cleaner for more than a year. The solution? Keep it in the wallet. These bills are never big. Or get into the habit of removing things individually from the shopping bag so that this bill also goes to the pending file. I recently went to my friend's house and I was shocked to see small bits of papers, bills, bank intimations, etc. lying in multiple areas around the living room. On the side table, in front of the fridge, in the showcase, everywhere, adding to visual clutter. And these were papers that represented some tasks that need to be done. Imagine coming home to a living room full of these. Instead, just dump everything into, you guessed it right, the pending file. So you may be wondering about this pending file I am referring to repeatedly. Yes, if you didn't get it already, it is crucial for you to create a pending file. Just a normal file folder would be good enough, or an old shoebox. Keep this at the most accessible place, on top of the fridge, next to the TV, wherever. The thing is, you should be able to easily dump papers into this. Not just you, but every member of the family. If you see paper lying around, the exam timetable, invitation card, receipts from recent purchases, ask your family members to clear these and to put them in the pending file. Here, please don't do it yourself all the time. The pending file should come as a default placeholder for everyone in your house. And this will happen over a period of time with a gentle nudge from you every now and then. We already discussed keeping the master list of category of items and their permanent homes in the pending file. In my house, I always keep a few copies of important documents like passport, Aadhaar and PAN card in the pending file so that it is easy to pick them up when you see these being asked every now and then. This means the pending file has two sections. A reference kind of section with the My Stuff at Home list and copies of important documents. The second section is the active section with all the pending paperwork that just keeps growing. Now, once a week, yes, I strongly suggest you do it once a week, initially at least, when you are all together watching a TV program or listening to music together. You take out this pending file. The idea is to go through every item in the active section there and decide what to do with it. And depending on what systems you have in place, you may need a few things. When I do this, I have my stationery box that has paper knife, paper clips, sellotape, etc., my laptop, my wallet and credit card, my diary or planner where I write down my to-do list and plan my weeks and days. Many of the papers require filing into their specific files. Even though I have opted for electronic statements that ensure I receive them over email, I still receive many other important papers over postal mail. For example, a copy of the income tax return, annual statement of my policy from the insurance company, etc. I group these papers for filing purpose on the floor and file them in their respective files at the end. Then the next category is invites for weddings and other functions in the family or from our native place. If possible, we discuss the feasibility of attending, book tickets online right away, or I note it down in my diary as an action item that needs to be done by a certain day. I retain these invitations in the pending file till the function is over as reference, either for me to plan the travel or to at least call them, thank them for inviting us and to send a gift. Then comes the bill payments. We do it online right away. Then there may be a check that needs to be deposited in the bank or a form that needs to be filled in and posted. I note that action item in my diary and keep the check or form for reference in the pending file. On the specific day I step out to the bank or post office, or my husband goes for it, I pull out the relevant check or form from the pending file. Essentially, this process of clearing the pending file involves the following steps. Examine each item in the active section of the pending file. Step 2. If it requires filing, file it in its permanent place. Step 3. If it requires an action that can be done right away, do it and then trash that paper, like we discussed bills. Fourth and final step. If it requires an action that can be done later, note that action in your diary or to-do list and keep the item back in the pending file for reference. That's it. At the end of this clearing process, it gives me immense pleasure to see a pile of trash on the floor, required papers filed away, action items written down in my planner, and the pending file itself having very few items. Ideally, it would be nice if you do this every weekend. This should not take more than 45 minutes. Over a period of time, you would realize that you don't need to do this every week. And why did I say this has to be done when everyone is around? Yeah, they may be doing their own activity. Children may be doing their homework. But I encourage you to do this sitting along with them. I strongly believe in the saying, out of sight, out of mind. When you do this work all alone, it is not even seen as an important activity of running a home. I do this very consciously in front of all so that they can take part in some of the decision making like the travel plans, help in doing some of the actions like online payments or whatever, or when my children were young, I even took their help to fetch the files in which I had to keep some of the papers or to throw into trash after tearing up the paper. Believe me, this is a very good way of encouraging this habit in children. The amount of freedom you experience in your head once this process is in place is unexplainable. I would strongly urge you to try this out and do let me know your experience of this process. In today's episode, we covered one aspect about forgetting, that is, forgetting things. We essentially looked at creating my stuff at home list and the pending file process. Once you implement these two, you should be able to see an immediate positive impact. As a family, you would not be hunting around for things. At least, the time spent looking for misplaced things will start coming down. And over a period of time, you will not be searching around for things. Sounds unbelievable, isn't it? It is possible. I welcome you to start this journey. Let your time be used for more important things in your life, for your dreams, for your fulfillment. In the next episode, we will focus on the second category of forgetting. Forgetting to do what you are supposed to do or you have agreed to do. Until then, all the best for your master list of category-wise permanent home and pending file. Remember, you are what you want to be, and the time starts now. This has been The New Indian Woman with your host, Krishna. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode and will tell your friends about this podcast. In case you haven't already, please subscribe to this show by clicking on the subscribe button. This means you will get my new episodes automatically and you will be able to listen to them every time I publish the next episode. Do visit my website, thenewindianwoman.com, for related blogs on this topic. Of course, I would love to hear from you. You could rate or leave a comment in your podcast app or write to me at krishna@thenewindianwoman.com. Thanks once again. I look forward to more sharing in the next episode, and please don't forget this. You are amazing. Fill your life with lot of laughter and fun. Only you can do it.